Welcome to the SaaS AdLab podcast, where we bring to you the stories of SaaS founders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. My name is Luis. I'm the founder of Fantôm Agency, a digital marketing agency specializing in scaling SaaS companies. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Ugi. He is the head of growth over at Talkas, and he's going to give us a little bit more background on that. But thank you so much for being on here today. And I know that everyone on the team wanted to provide anyone that's listening or watching to this episode with a discount code for the product, and that's going to be Lemtalk 30. And we'll talk a little bit more about that specifically, but it's going to be LEMTALK 30, and you'll get 30% off the first 3 months, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Awesome. So Ugi, thank you so much for being on here. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your background, and a little bit more of how you ended up working with Talkas.
Thank you very much, Luis, for hosting me here. Well, I'm coming from Serbia. Right now, I'm 20 years old.
Okay.
So I started, let's say, my entrepreneurial career when I was 16. I started some, let's say, a little startup in Belgrade with two of my friends. We were basically building the platform for quick and easy finding of appropriate bars and restaurants in Belgrade. So, I mean, it was really amazing. Of course, we failed after a year or so. Yeah, but it was a really great experience. And, when you have 16 years, it was something really, really important to us because we gave up of our nightlife, hanging out with friends and all that kind of things. And we learned too much in that period. So basically that was something that, let's say, kick-started my entire career. Later after that, I started doing some, let's say, freelance work. At the beginning, I was only offering social media services to the small and medium businesses in Serbia. But after some time, I gave up because they didn't want to pay, or they were paying too low, and it basically wasn't worth of my efforts and time. And then 2 or 3 years ago, in August, one man reached out to me and asked me, "Hey, Uglješa, would you like to be a content writer for me?" And I was like, "Okay." I never wrote any piece of content ever, and I actually hated that. But that guy offered me more money than any of the clients I had before. So I was like, okay, let's do that. And in that moment, I remembered the quote from Richard Branson. I think he said something like, if you get an amazing opportunity, don't hesitate to accept it. If you don't know how to do it, accept it and then learn how to do it on the go. So
figure it out.
Basically, yeah, that was the moment when I started to write content for the B2B SaaS. So I'm basically in this industry for almost 3 years now.
Okay.
And to be honest, I'm still collaborating with that client for a couple of years. A few months ago, we had one really, really amazing product hunt launch. So it was really, really great. And after some time, of course, I started, let's say, kickstarting my career as the content writer for B2B SaaS businesses. So I worked with a lot of different clients.
That's awesome.
With some of them I'm still working. Well, not me particular, but I have the team of the freelancers to whom I'm outsourcing the majority of my work. So basically it's some, let's say, the passive income, but I'm still keeping the high quality like when I'm writing it. So basically, yeah, I somehow positioned myself as the organic user acquisition specialist, because basically that's what content does at the end. You write content, you have SEO, you have backlink building, and all of that is the organic growth that costs very, very, very little. So basically I became, let's say, a specialist in that field. And a couple of months back, a friend of mine who is also from Belgrade and who is the head of growth at Lemlist, introduced me to Guillaume, CEO of Lemlist, Lampod and Talkas. And a couple of months back, we've decided to work together and to execute some crazy things and to grow Talkus.
Very cool. So for anyone that hasn't, been in the podcast for a while now, we actually interviewed Guillaume as one of the first people on the podcast. I believe great interview, great individual, super smart. And if anyone wants to listen more of his, go watch that interview as well. But that's a very cool story, and it's nice to see, how everything started with just like a smaller project when you were a pretty young person, and you still are super young, which I think it's really interesting. And it takes, I think, a specific kind of person to, kind of put all the fun aside when you're just getting like, started with your, with your life, I guess. And instead of doing, what everyone else is doing, which is going out partying, hanging out with your friends and stuff like that, actually focusing on something that's going to have a later, greater return for you, whether that is monetary or, simply just experience in doing different things and actually working towards goals and things like that. And that's similar to what I did too. I was never really attracted to, like, let's go party and let's do all these things. I rather like work on something and see, a greater return later on, which I think is what a lot of the people in the SaaS space are like. And I think that's why we all connect so well. Now, tell us a little bit more essentially about Talkus, right? So how long has the product been out, and what has it looked like, before you joined the team, and now that you're part of the head of growth?
Well, Talkus is live for, I think, 2 or 3 years now. So it's a pretty, let's say, it's a little bit older product, and a lot of work is invested in it before. We have a strong user base and a really nice MRR. Talkus is basically the live chat and help desk software built for Slack. So basically, you can't use Talkus without using the Slack. What that means in the practice? In the practice, Talkus connects your email, live chat, Facebook, Twitter, even the SMS, and all the messages you get, you will receive them in your Slack channel, and you can answer to all of them from your Slack, no matter where they came from. So basically, let's say that Talkus is the intercom alternative for live chat. We also have the features like you can build a FAQ page, or you can build automated messages, you can push notifications on certain pages and all that kind of thing. So basically the goal of Talkus is to keep everything in Slack. For example, we changed a product a couple of months ago. We deleted a lot of features like analytics, for example, because we figured out that some kind of features are taking people from Slack, and we want to keep them inside the Slack. So basically, that's one of our, let's say, unique value propositions. Like every live chat, Talkus is great for lead generation, customer support, customer success, and all that kind of things. And basically, like I said, we have a really strong user base, and they're with us for over 2 years now, most of them. So basically, yeah, that's a little bit about the Talkus itself. We can talk literally years about the Talkus, but this is the most important part of it. So basically, yeah, I joined Talkus a couple of months back. And as a head of growth, of course, my goal is to improve conversions, to grow revenue. After all, ROI is the most important metric, in the SaaS B2B. But right now, my biggest focus is on the content and organic growth, because that's something that will pay off in the long game. And that's really something that we want to focus on right now at this moment. So basically, yeah, we already started to have a really decent number of website visitors, conversions. not too much of them are coming from the SEO. It's too early for that.
Yeah.
But we are really executing a great distribution. So, I mean, we're using Growth Hackers, LinkedIn, Quora, online communities, Slack communities, all that kind of things to distribute our content. And our content is, again, mostly, let's say, focused around three different topics.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Slack, actually. The other one is customer support. And the third one is lead generation. Because Talkos has use cases in all of these departments, verticals, let's say. Also, I forgot to mention, Talkos is soon going to be rebranded to Lemtalk.com because, like I said, we're the part of the Lem family. We have 3 different projects, Lempod, Lemlist as the main one, and soon it will be Lemtalk. So,
Very cool. Now, you mentioned, having content being one of the biggest pushes of you coming on board and really like your main focus right now. I know that, when you're talking distribution channels, like a lot of people mainly think, like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and like top of mind, that's really all there is. But I know that a lot of these, platforms also, when it comes to organic, content, they tend to throttle you because they have the ad platforms and they obviously want you to start throwing money into advertisement. What are the most successful platforms and really, like, I guess, growth hacks, if you want to call them, that you've used and implemented in order to start getting more out of all that content without having to essentially put, dollars behind it?
Basically, I'm doing content distribution for a long time right now. And to be honest, for 2 years, my clients never invested more than, let's say, $1,000 overall for all the clients I had. So basically, we are using let's say, these organic methods all the time.
Right.
Growth Hackers is really, really great platform for kickstarting your content, especially if you, at the end of the day, manage to be in their newsletter. Let's say some approximate, views number we get on the Growth Hackers right now is around 1,500 to 2,000 views, and that's pretty cool. Of course, not all of them will click and go to your article and read it at all, but it's a pretty good, let's say, number. A great platform is also Zest. Don't know why you're familiar with that. Yeah, Zest.
They've also been on the podcast as well. I had blanking on his name right now, but he was on here.
Regev
or Regev. Yeah, he was on the podcast as well. Super smart guy also.
Yeah, Zest is another really, really great platform for content distribution. What I like about Zest is that there are literally thousands and thousands of people who might be interested in your content, and almost all of them are some kind of influential people in terms of, like, their CMOs, head of growth, head of marketing, and all that kind of things. So it's pretty great platform for the content that has a huge potential for conversions.
Totally. And I think one of the cool things about Zest is that, it's not a social platform. Like, you're not there to talk to other people. They made it strictly as a place for you to actually go and, like, consume content. Like, if you want to go and read about, SaaS growth strategies, or if you want to read lead gen, then you have all the different, tags on the side that you can click on, and it filters everything out for you. So it's very specifically, targeted for people that actually want to consume content. So I think that's one of the biggest, I guess, key actions that you can do inside of Zest, is that people are actually there to read or listen or whatever it may be.
Yeah, well, basically Zest is like the open library for the marketing and the sales folks. Mm-hmm. And like you said, that's the reason why I like Zest too much. Other great platforms for content distribution are Quora. I think that nothing can beat Quora in the long run. Even today, I have, I receive hundreds of views on the posts that I wrote 2 years ago. I mean, it's really, really great distribution channel. So yeah, I mean, these three platforms are usually the, let's say, main source of the distribution that I'm doing. But there is also another, let's say, thing that I like to do for some particular articles, not all of them, only the ones that I think will really, really skyrocket. I really like to email people who might be interested in the article. And I'm doing that with, let's say, two main goals. One of them is to get backlink, and backlinks are super, super important. And the other one is to build really great relationships. So I'm usually finding those people by using the Ahrefs, Magoos, or any other SEO tool, and by looking at the companies and the websites who linked to a similar content, like I just published. And I'm also sometimes writing down the names while, let's say, searching in the communities or something like that. And then I found out some guy who is really, really passionate about, let's say, lead generation, and who really talks a lot about lead generation in the Facebook communities, for example. And then I have a little document with all those categories: customer support, lead generation, user onboarding, and I just write his name besides that, company, email, and all that kind of things. And then when I have something that might be interesting for him, I send him the email. And it usually pays off.
Very cool. That's awesome. Now, one thing that really stood out to me, obviously, was the fact that, well, on the website, right, it's talking about Taka's now, or soon to be Lemtalk, focuses mainly on small businesses, right? Your SMBs. Now, I don't know essentially, like, are you talking about SMBs within the tech world or just any SMB? Because the reason I'm asking is, you know, from my experience, I don't think that a lot of small businesses are using Slack as, you know, something that internally within them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the new website copy is going to be ready soon, and the new redesign. But that's actually a pretty good question. Our, let's say, main positioning are the SMBs from the internet, software, and SaaS world.
Gotcha.
Because, like you said, they are the companies who will most probably use the Slack for their day-to-day communication. But in our user base, but I mean, that's not the rule. You always have someone who likes to stand out. We have companies who are not from the tech sector at all.
Right.
So, yeah, our, let's say, ideal buyer persona are the SaaS and tech companies.
Okay, got it. I've never thought about it, but is there a different name for SMBs that are specifically in the tech sector?
Well, the only name that came to my mind are startups.
Yeah. So, I think that would be it, because yeah, like that's one thing that kind of, you know, it didn't necessarily throw me up, but it's something that I was thinking about, like how, you know, when you're talking about small businesses, if you're targeting people that only use Slack, then that number might be pretty small. If you're talking, you know, like your mom and pop shop on the corner that's selling pizzas or something like that. So it's I think that it's definitely something that will have to be, you know, I think refined, and it's probably something that you guys are already working, as per you said earlier. Yeah. What are some of the hardest things that you've been, you know, seeing as far as, like, I guess, content distribution? You know, like, you found obviously the ways to put together, you know, the content that you want and the platforms that you want to distribute that content in. But aside from that, what are some of the challenges that you're currently facing, you know, when putting together a content piece or something like that?
Well, for me, I mean, it's always been, and it will always be, the biggest challenge is the ROI of the content itself. because I think it's really not so measurable.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really hard to predict how much money some particular piece of content will bring, especially because, like I said, it's the long-term play game. So basically, that's the one of the biggest problems with the content itself. And I'm not ashamed to say that even today, I mean, I have articles that I wrote and that didn't brought any customer.
Right.
Even the 0 leads, not customers, the leads. So, but of course, I mean, I think it's like investing. So you have 10 companies in your portfolio, and the 9 of them will probably fail, but the 10th will pay back you everything from the first 9 of them, and plus you will earn even more. So basically, that's the biggest struggle that content brings. And the other one is, of course, making the content optimized for the conversions. And again, that's something that you never know, because you can't replicate the same strategies from one piece to content to another one. In terms of, I put the call to action here, now I'll put it here, and all that kind of things. So basically, it's something, it's the game changing, and you need to think about it every single time.
Right. That makes sense. Now, I want to start. I want to start calling it Lemtalk, since that's the rebrand. So, as far as Lemtalk goes, what are some of the key features that people are liking the most?
Well, basically, the biggest advantage of Lemtalk is that you can do almost anything from Slack. So basically, that's the main reason why our users are using our product. I mean, in the terms of the product, I'll be honest with you, every live chat is the same.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the snippet code, just copy paste it, put it in the header, and you will have the live chat widgets. I mean, it's basically dull and boring and same from the competitor to competitor.
Right.
But like I said, the main thing where the users are using us is because we are really, really built for Slack. I mean, we don't have the Slack integration. We are really built for it, and Slack is the core of our business.
Very cool. What are some of the challenges that come with that? Is it, and I don't know if you have the answer, because I guess you wouldn't necessarily be in the tech side of things, right? But are there any things that Slack is doing that kind of, put you a step back?
Well, let's say that from the tech side, I honestly really don't know, because from the moment when I came to the company, we didn't work too much on the product itself, because we are planning the website redesign and rebranding, and that is our primary focus right now. So I honestly really don't know how the Slack's APIs and all that kind of things are working. From the marketing side, it's, to be honest, not bad. I mean, they're not holding us back, because basically, in one way, we are promoting Slack.
Totally. 100%.
So basically, we are not bringing customers just to us. We are also bringing the customers to them, and we are improving their brand awareness. So basically, right now, we don't have any problems around that.
Do users that are using Talkas or Lemtalk, do they have to be on any specific kind of plan with Slack, or can they just use a free version?
Free version.
Okay, awesome. Now, I kind of want to go back a little bit more into content. In your experience, what's been the best, performing type of content? Is in something like an ebook, an article, a blog post? What is your preferred, type of content that you like to put out?
Yeah, basically, for me, the type of content that had the most conversions was, is usually the article.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly never really worked on the ebooks. So, I'm usually focused just on the articles. I did some ebooks from the like some, let's say, side hustle, but nothing too important. That was the most effective for me. It's literally the article I wrote once for User Pilot called App Queues Alternatives.
Okay.
So basically, it was really, really honest feedback of me and of the User Pilot team about the best alternatives to app queues. And that article is published, I think it became the first article on the Google. So basically, it's bringing a lot of leads, and a lot of people are converted from that article, and it really, really brings a lot of great results.
Okay. So is it, do people typically like to read long form articles? Do they like list bullet points? Do they like to see like alternatives, like where they're comparing, let's say, Lemtalk with a different, live chat provider? Or do you prefer to do anything, or do you like to pretty much just, try them all, and kind of mix things up instead of always showing the same type of content?
Well, basically, that mostly depends on the type of your industry and on your either by person rules in content. Let's say, while I'm writing I'm usually writing the long form content, describing deeply each of the tools, and at the end I'm usually giving a well-designed and also in-depth comparison table. So for those who don't want to read the entire article, they could just jump on the table at the bottom and find out what they need. But
Right.
for those who want, let's say, more detailed information, there is a content. I'm usually writing around 1,000 and 500 words for each alternative. So basically, it's a really, really long article. I think that particular one, App Queues Alternatives, has around 5,000 words with 5 alternatives. So it's basically really, really long.
And it goes deep, right? So like people believe it, and it's not like, I'm just trying to put my like it's giving an honest alternative, and like what are really the options that are out there, instead of just putting your product and telling, like, we're obviously biased, so go buy this one because we made it.
Yeah, and basically what's the secret sauce of these alternative articles is that before writing them, we actually really, really try the tool from the customer's perspective. And we document everything that we like and everything that we don't like. So when we find some problems, we write them down. When we find something that it's really, really great, we also write it down. And at the end of the article, we write, okay, so right now we have 5 alternatives, and User Pilot is the best for you if, etc. Chameleon will be best for you if you want to create employee onboarding sequences and all that kind of thing. So it's basically not promotional at all.
Right.
And it's really honest and objective.
That's awesome. And we'll get into a little bit more of like a personal questions section here. What are some of the things that you've learned throughout this entire process?
from let's say entrepreneurial journey, from that side of the story, let's say, the most important thing that I learned is that time and money are equally important resources.
Uh-huh.
So basically, if you don't have time, but you have money, you basically won't do anything, and vice versa. That's one of the most important things I learned. And basically, my mentor at my first startup told me that. So, and he told me that while giving me some, let's say, small investment of a couple of €1,000, which was really, really big for me for a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's one of the most important things I learned. And other one is more like, let's say, from the motivational spirit. I mean, it's a fluff, but it's really true. And never give up, and be hustle, and don't, let's say, don't work in the theory, execute things, because execution is what's really important. I mean, you can watch thousands of different courses about digital marketing and lead generation, for example. But if you don't actually try something from these courses, you really won't go too long. 100%. So basically, yeah, these two are my top advices for entrepreneurs and marketeers.
Cool. That was actually going to be the next question, is what is your one piece of advice for someone looking to start their SaaS company, or, you know, anyone that's in this space? So you already answered that. Now,
if let's give my advice from the business side.
Okay.
From the business side, the most important thing is really to know your ideal buyer persona. And when I say that, I mean on really create your ideal buyer persona. I mean, give her a name, give her an image. Imagine that it's a real person. And whatever you do, whether you're writing the website copy, content, writing the outreach sequences or social media posts, think about that ideal buyer persona and step into its shoes. You know, when you write the sales copy email, step into its shoes and ask yourself, okay, if I'm the potential customer, will I be hooked on this sales letter and this sales email? So basically, I think that's one of the most important things in business, especially because today the markets are overcrowded, literally. I mean, in my space, in live chat space, there is literally hundreds of different products and apps.
And they keep coming out every day, right? Like you'll see new ones come up every single day. So that's another thing to think about too. It's not even just the ones that are there, but the fact that more and more keep joining you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the CRM or the project management space as well. I mean, whenever I see on Facebook or LinkedIn that someone launched a new project management tool, I am like, oh boy, what are you doing? You know. So, and positioning is really important in this overcrowded market. And knowing who is your ideal buyer persona will really, really help you to position yourself as best as you can.
Totally. Now, one of the last questions here. What are some of your favorite companies? And they cannot be part of the Lem family, okay? So, you know, they have to be just any company that you look up to that you think, wow, like they're totally just killing it. They're you know, doing everything I wish I could be doing, or everything that I want to be doing at some point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I won't mention the big companies because there's a lot of big companies like HubSpot, for example. I mean, these guys are really killing it. Or Drift. I mean, Drift is really amazing. I mean, I was writing a lot about user onboarding, retention, user psychology, and all that kind of things. and HubSpot and Drift are the companies I used to mention too much, because they really have a lot of examples of in-app experiences and all that kind of things. When we look at some, let's say, smaller companies, I really like what Chanty is doing. Olga, their marketing director, I think, she's doing a really, really great job. And I mean, her content is, I don't know, it's really great. I mean, I can't explain how great her content is. And I will be honest, I took the idea about the alternatives article from her, because she wrote one article about Slack alternatives, and that article is really mind-blowing. So I really think that Chanty does a great job. From the other companies, I mean, there's really a lot of them, but I'm not trying to mention some, let's say, too much popular ones. I don't know. If I remember one, I will mention it.
Sounds good. And Ugi, where can people find you online so that they can connect with you? If they have any questions, they can ask them to you. They can send you a message. I think you froze. Did you hear?
I will write you my entire name, so you can mention it in the description. They can find me on LinkedIn. They can also message me on my email. It's ugi@talkus.io. So yeah, you can contact me on LinkedIn and over the email. I'm planning to release my personal website for over a month now. So, and I really don't have time to do that. I bought the domain and everything, but I think it will be soon.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. And do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. How are you doing at Fantom Agency?
How's Fantom doing? Fantom's doing great. We keep working with really cool companies. We're growing and just providing as best of a, I guess, services we can to our clients. And that's one of the best things that we can do, right? It's really understanding, like putting ourselves on their feet, understanding what kind of problems they have and helping them with what it is that we specialize in, right? Which is paid advertising. And we like to do a lot of content distribution for them too. So helping them put like content pieces together, getting that out into the people. Like one of the things that we don't do is organic stuff. So it was nice to talk to you, about more like, what are the channels to distribute things? What is working best and stuff like that. So it's always nice to get different perspectives in from different experts in different, areas of marketing, so that we can, see what kind of ways we can start implementing those sorts of things for our clients as well.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great to hear.
Cool, Ugi. Well, it was an awesome interview. It was a pleasure having you. And for anyone that's watching, again, you can use Lemtalk 30 for 30% off your first 3 months on Lemtalk/talkus. And you can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, pretty much anywhere. Just look up Luis Camacho and you should find me. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching and listening to this episode. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.